Ansel Adams was a visionary figure in nature photography and also wilderness preservation. He is remembered as an environmental folk hero and an icon of the American West. His signature black and white photography of North America's natural wonders inspired an appreciation for natural beauty and instilled an interest of conservation among people. Adams was born on February 20th, 1902 in San Francisco, California. He grew up in a house near the Golden Gate Bridge, and when he was 4, an aftershock from the Great Earthquake of 1906 hurled him to the ground, resulting in a broken nose that left it distinctly shaped. He was naturally timid and had problems fitting in at school, but his solitary childhood led to his sincere love of nature. Adams taught himself to play the piano and read music at the age of 12. Instead of continuing a formal education, he directed his attention toward musical study and made it his profession. At the age of 24, he ultimately gave up piano playing for photography. In 1919, he joined the Sierra Club and spent his first summer in Yosemite Valley. The Sierra Club was critical to Adams' early success because his first published photographs and writings appeared in the club's 1922 bulletin. El Capitan sunrise was captured in Yosemite National Park, California in 1956. Adams' nature photography was primarily in black and white to highlight the contrast of the landscape, evident in this image. The mountains are bright from the sun's rays beaming down the side, while the dark coniferous trees appear as shadowy figures in a portion of the image, but very bright where the sun is hitting them directly. This image, titled Aspens, was taken in northern New Mexico in 1958. Ansel Adams had a unique way of taking photos. He didn't use the traditional composition rule of thirds, he was more concerned with depicting nature a certain way. Although he didn't follow the rule of thirds, his images were incredibly successful. In this image, he uses the taller trees to create a linear pattern throughout the entire image, allowing the 2 shorter trees in the foreground to stand out with their lightened leaves. At Zabriskie Point was taken at Death Valley National Monument in California in 1942. This image is an exemplary model showing Adams' ability to create complex textures in his black and white photography. This image attracts the viewer because it is hard to discern exactly what is being portrayed, forcing the audience to look closer and deeper into the image, examining the highlights of the ridgetops, the lights of the valleys, and finally the dark shadow in the background of the image. This image, titled Road, was captured in the Nevada desert in 1960. Again, Adams uses an unconventional composition by centering the road, but for this image, the composition works well by intensifying the vastness and continual landscape of the Nevada desert. It appears as though the road has no end parallel to that of the desert. Although there is symmetry in the image, the broken line on one side of the road adds an interesting element to the overall look and feeling conveyed through the photo. Rose and Driftwood was taken in 1932. Adams was revered for his landscape photography, but he was also able to create beautiful close-up images. Again, he paid close attention to detail and texture, which shines through in this image. The viewer is drawn into the center of the rose, then the eye slowly moves out to examine the surface and shadows of the petals, then finally to the pattern of the driftwood that serves as a background for the image. Autumn Moon was taken in the High Sierras from Glacier Point in 1948. This image shows Adams' capacity to photograph natural events, like a full moon, and create a striking shot, enticing the viewer to look deeper into the photo. The front of the mountains are dark and almost ominous, while the second set of mountains, illuminated by the moon, have an ethereal glow, giving the image a feeling of majesty. Adams pursued street photography, in which the clarity of the lens was emphasized and the final prints looked unaltered in the darkroom. Adams became the leading street photographer with his consistently articulated images. He had a unique energy and commitment to his work, laboring 18 or more hours per day, for days and weeks on end. Adams was arduously devoted to the conservation of wilderness and the environment. His images became symbols of wild America, and his photographs allowed people around the country to see the beautiful lands we live in. The black and white imagery that Ansel Adams created were intensified representations of nature that infused the viewer with an emotional connection to the land on a somewhat spiritual level. He was able to personify nature and elicit emotion from his viewers like no other photographer before him.